Gita Jayanti, as we know, since we are all studying Gita, we should have a little understanding on its background. So, Gita Jayanti is an event which is the day it is supposed to be the birth of Gita. Jayanti is literally birth. So, celebrating the birth of Gita. So, what do we know by the birth of Gita? Well, like if it's a human, we know the human was born on a certain day. Huh? But for Gita, what do you say about birth? So, this is the birth of the scripture. But yet, as we just discussed, a scripture by itself is not an inert book. See, when we say a scripture, that can mean that there is just a book. What do we say? A book is like an inert thing. This book is, it's an inert book. It doesn't have life. So that is the idea we have, right? But when we talk about scripture, it is not just a lifeless thing. Those higher scriptures we call Gita also as Gita Mata sometimes. So, meaning the mother Gita. The idea is that, like how a mother nurtures a child, the Gita has the well-being of all of us. It has the teachings are given with the intention of well-being of all of us. So sometimes you see also acharyas will say Shruti Mata for the scriptures. Shruti is all the texts, the Vedic texts which are heard. They will call it as Shruti Mata because that it is like a mother which cares for us. It doesn't have any. A mother, usually wishes well for the children. They don't have their own personal agenda, right? So similarly, the Shruti is the Gita Mata when we say it's like that. So it is said that on the battlefield it was born, but it is like a energy that continues on in that scripture. Those who come to it with reverence will gain that wisdom and that knowledge. So now, when we talk about Gita Jayanti, we all have a little bit duty. What is the duty? Is that we have to do in some form, some kind of a worship, personal worship. Now we may say sometimes, I don't believe in all this. What is the use of that? I just want the knowledge. But see, the idea with the scriptures is it is not just a technical knowledge. It requires us to have that sense of Shraddha, that sense of purity. You want to study even something in the college, you need to have some kind of Shraddha. You may not understand and you may not buy into it right away. But that sense of reverence is important. So have been doing this for a few years now, where we have a day where we discuss about it. We do a little bit of ritual, puja, arti, and all that, and it helps us to cultivate the sense of reverence, that sense of worshipfulness. See, there are two attitudes towards worship. One is a blind worship, and that is not what we are asking of everyone. Blind worship is you just believe because your parents believed, or if because somebody is telling you to believe, you worship, you do puja. Initially, children are encouraged that way because they don't have that intelligence. But as we grow up, we have to have some sense of doing our own ritual to worship, some offering, something we do in our own way. We have to do all this. That helps us to imbibe and make that receptivity within us. So, Gita Jayanti Day, all of you try to use a few minutes and some kind of, some places they put the book, whatever book you have of Gita, you can keep it, you can put some flower or whatever evokes that sense of devotion in you. And you just mentally you can chant some shlokas. The shloka chanting is a very profound way of connecting with Gita. So even those of you who are not conversant with Sanskrit, there is a lot of times we have the English transliteration. You can give a little try because sometimes, when you chant that embedded in those words are that potential energy that can go into us. Many times when I chant, I hear only one or two people chanting. So all of you should at least, even though you make mistakes, it's okay. You should give an effort. Slowly, of course, as you get deeper into it, you can also learn to chant properly. So that is also a helpful way, because we learn not just by our intellect, we learn different ways, So there is a research, scientific research, which says that words, whether written or spoken words, only do 10% of the communication, you know. So 90% is communicated through that teacher, that book, and the gestures and all that. That is why sometimes I insist, when you talk, you put on your video, or you at least make sure you can watch my video. So all these are means of communication also. So Gita Jayanti, again coming back to that, it is the day when the Lord gave that teaching. And now we may, one other weird thinking sometimes people can come to is, oh, this was given to Arjuna, because it is all talked about in the context of do the war, fight your battle and all that, right? I am not fighting any battle, and I am not at that time. So it doesn't apply to me. See, that again is a wrong notion, because that teaching is not just like how nowadays, some one person is teaching another. This is the teaching we consider to have come from the Lord. Nothing that Lord does is for an individual. The Lord has done all of the whatever teaching is given for everybody. The only thing is that we have to take it personally. So now with our classes, especially, we have even the manana. That is also a good way to personalize that. So battles, when we talk, we all have our own battles, right? So Gita Jayanti Day, we should think that the Lord is talking to us as Arjuna, and all that teaching he is giving to us, and we can take a few minutes, even if you are not present in our Gita Jayanti event, to try to imbibe that. And those who can should actually make that effort to attend or watch or something, because we value our time. When we give our time to something like this, then we are shifting that samskaras, we are shifting that habitual patterns which is going towards worldliness. See, the prioritizing our time. Every time you bring the mind to the teachings of Gita or something related to this, you are shifting from a worldly attitude to spiritual attitude. And Gita is a very important text. Some students, like because these are long classes, right? It goes on for a while. Sometimes people say, okay, this is not talking to me, this chapter is not talking to me, and all that. See, this is not like how, we say this doesn't work for me and walk away. It is not like that scripture has to work for us. We have to open that receptivity for the scripture to work on us. So with especially with Bhagavad Gita teachings, it is not like, I don't connect to it and all that. Because these are fundamental texts. Even if you're interested in Upanishads, Yoga Sutras, and all those texts, the foundation of all those texts is given here. Some people will connect to jnana, some people will connect to bhakti, some people will connect to karma. But the Bhagavad Gita will give you all these approaches, the whole foundation. So our attitude like that should be to learn the Gita. Then we can move on our path, whether it is jnana, bhakti, yoga, whatever we choose. But that foundation has to be strong, and that is what Gita is giving us. So it is like, if you never learned mathematics, you can never think of becoming a computer engineer. So in the school, if you had walked away with all the mathematics when they were taught, you will never go on to become a computer engineer. So that is the attitude of reverence we need for Gita. So on the Gita Jayanti day, I pray for all of you, and may you all also find that interest, that continuity, and that importance to Gita.